Welcome to the I'm In podcast, where you learn to unleash your creative genius, live a more abundant life, and change your world. And now, your host, Heather Hodges.
I could not be more excited for today's guest, and you can probably hear it in my voice. We have been giggling and laughing before we even hit record for the podcast. Cecilia de la Hoz is a connector, communicator, synthesizer, and she is also one of my oldest friends. And we go way back, probably farther back than either one of us want to admit. But I want to introduce you to a dear, dear friend of mine from Madrid, Spain, Cecilia. Welcome to the show.
So happy to be here, Heather. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Okay. It's almost impossible for me to introduce you except to say we go way back. We met in 8th grade at the American School of Paris in France because both of our dads were working abroad in France at the time. And we have had a friendship across all of these decades since then, 4 decades almost now. I did the math. We've known each other for 39 years. So,
oh my gosh, really?
I know. Isn't that crazy to think about that? But wow. Just for the sake of our listeners, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, who you are, your life, where you live, your family, your work?
Well, I'm a partner at EY-Parthenon and have been with EY for the past 18 years. I just celebrated my anniversary a few days ago, actually.
Congratulations.
And before that, I was an entrepreneur for 8 years. I started 2 companies. One of them was successful. The other one was not. So I've seen that from both angles. Before that, I worked in banking for a few years. So born and raised in Spain, even though I moved around quite a bit internationally. I've lived in the US, in France, in Germany, where I went partially to college. That's where I met my husband.
Your amazing husband,
wow.
Bogus.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost 30 years, right?
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. He's Polish. We have 4 great kids. At least I think they're great.
They're pretty
We're
amazing.
all grown up now. We live right outside Madrid, and I can't believe that it's been so long, Heather, that our friendship has, you can really say that we've gone through time and space together.
Yeah, we truly, truly have. And one of the things that has always struck me about you, I bet you don't even remember this. One of the things that I remember about you from, this is 8th grade, we were at school at the American School of Paris, and it was one of those evening shows, like it was a talent show, it was a musical show, and there was one of the acts was an opera singer. And it wasn't my thing. Like I didn't get it at that time. We were in 8th grade. And you told me, no, listen for the beauty of it. There's beauty everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can hear. Do you remember it? You probably don't, but
I probably don't. But I can imagine myself saying that.
Yeah. So you can, that is absolutely something you would say. And then we were in band together as well. You played the clarinet, I played the flute. So I have considered you creative since we were little girls. But one of the things you said to me before, or maybe it was right after you took the Hodges 12 Types of Creative Genius, was the word creative or the description of creative is not something I would have considered myself, or like it would have been 20 deep if I did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when you asked me to if I wanted to take it, I was like, well, I'll take it just out of curiosity because of you, right? Not because it's creative, right? If you had asked me to take a test on my math skills, I would have done it too, just because you're asking me. But yeah, I thought, deep down, I thought this is going to be a little humiliating because the result is
Mm.
going to be maybe creativity is not your thing. No worries, we're
Hmm.
good at other stuff, or something like
Yeah.
that. So I was so surprised. I was really, really, really pleasantly surprised. And what's funny is that I think I've changed my outlook towards creativity since then because
Huh.
I'm seeing creativity in other people that I wasn't looking for before, and I also value a lot more the type of work that I do because I see the creative side to it. So yeah, so that was a funny, side effect
Yeah.
of taking the test. But yeah, I would definitely have never considered myself like if I think what I said is if you had asked me to describe myself in 20 words, creative would not have been on that list at all. So
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah. Because well, let me back up and ask you this. When you think about the word creativity, okay, or when you used to think about the word creativity, what came to
Yeah.
mind?
Uh, Artistic talent.
Mm.
Um, Musical talent, but musical not in the sense of interpretation. So playing the clarinet or playing the piano does not count. The creativity comes in writing
Oh.
the music, in my view, or my previous view.
Mm-hmm.
Writing, I would consider creative writing, certainly art, but
Mm-hmm.
never consulting, which is what I do. Even though, I mean, obviously we're always saying, you have to be creative in what the insights that we bring to clients, that it's not what they've heard over and over. But still I would
Mm-hmm.
not have used the word creativity. I would have used, I don't know, insightful or
Mm-hmm.
just other words, not never creative.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think, creative in my line of business is sometimes, I'm not saying always, but sometimes has even negative
Mm-hmm.
connotations, as if you're making it up. It's not supported. It's
Oh.
not, um, it's not fact based.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that interesting? Though, so
yeah.
in the finance world, that the word creative could mean it's not evidence based. You're getting creative with those facts instead of
Mhm.
those are
I mean, there
not
is the expression creative accounting, right? Which is, you're just
creative accounting, right?
exactly. And there's always like a quote unquote. And
Yes.
that has a very negative connotation. So,
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, now that, and thank you for being one of the beta testers, and thank you for, helping
it
me
was fun.
give face validity at least to this assessment. What has changed since you took that?
Um, Well, as I was saying before, I'm much more aware of my creative contribution
Mhm.
to my work. I'm also more aware of the creative contributions of others in my work.
Yeah.
And I've become aware that creativity is actually the only way to future-proof our industry. So, I mean,
Mm.
consulting is probably one of the industries that is most impacted by artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
and so I keep thinking what there's a human side to consulting that we can't lose, and that
Mhm.
our clients, that is what they're really paying for, I think,
Mhm.
rather, and more so going forward. And creativity, I think, is one of those very, very human attributes that we
Mhm.
not only not have to lose, we have to, get more of and bring more of to the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you brought up the AI part and the humanness of it because I agree wholeheartedly. You're an early reader of my next book too, so you've seen my thoughts on it as well. But I think what you're describing is what I'm seeing as well on this side of the pond is there's I think the future is analog in that the humanness of it. Yeah, AI can do a lot, and for all of its
Mhm.
brilliance, it cannot feel or have a connection or have the emotions or even be trusted in some instances.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
but
I,
hu-
they, It will probably become more and more reliable, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have that intuition
Yeah.
that and the personal connection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so consulting is really all about bringing solutions to companies to solve their problems. That's really what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, sure, generative AI can solve a lot of things. You can say, okay, this is the problem. What would the solution be? But
Mm-hmm.
it's the human aspect. It's okay, but what's in it for the person that I have across the table, and what's in it
Mm-hmm.
for their team? And, because a company is nothing. A company is just a group of people that are working together towards a common goal. So,
Yeah.
you can't lose sight of the very personal aspect of consulting. And that's, I think, where that creativity comes in coming up with solutions that are relevant to them
Mm-hmm.
personally, and not
Mm-hmm.
just you know just a standard something solution that uh, Gen AI can come up with, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this is where we can prove, so consulting sometimes has a relatively bad name in terms that they're saying, oh, consultants just copy paste or whatever. It's all boilerplate.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no added value, and that's exactly, this is our opportunity to prove that wrong, because
Yeah.
it's not. It's very, very personal.
Precisely. Oh my gosh, you're singing my tune right there. So
We
when
did
you
not
took
prepare this, right?
no, 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 this is it. This is off the cuff.
Just
No,
for the audience to know.
yeah, yeah. Just so y'all know, she did not prepare that ahead of
No.
time. But okay, so you took the assessment. You scored as a connector, communicator, synthesizer. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, was one of those top three types, did one of those resonate more than the others, or was there anything there that surprised you?
No, not at all. And actually, I think my first thought was, I can see that these three types have something in common that I very
Hmm.
much can relate to. And again, I am seeing this now. I
Yeah.
would have never described myself as this earlier, before doing the assessment. And that is, that all three types connect the dots somehow,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it's, just like those puzzles that we did, when we were
Hmm.
kids, where you go from 1 to 2 to 3. Well, I think life is all these dots that don't have numbers on them, and you have to
Hmm.
kind of see the picture and draw, and connect the dots yourself. And I think both being a connector in terms of, oh, I think this person would benefit from knowing this other person. I should get them together, or they
Hmm.
could work really well together. Um, to the synthesizer of, you have all of these ideas. This is how I can paint a picture that synthesizes that. To the communicator. So it's all really about connecting the dots in different aspects of life,
Hmm.
but it's all about connecting the dots. So that came kind of like a light bulb moment of, yeah, I can see how I do that.
Yeah. I love it. And
Yeah.
I'm starting to call that, I've given that profile, your top three types, of given it a name. It's your creative genius trifecta. It's,
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
three top
Okay.
gifts that come together to explain and help you understand how you do approach problems, and the gifts that you bring to the world and to challenges that are in front of you. And so, and I can see those so clearly in you. Like, even, when you were in talent development, being able to see the talent in some person. Okay, let me connect you with this team or this project or this work group. Or, yeah, somebody in New York, you need to know this person in Hong Kong. Like, those kinds of that connector
Yeah.
genius. And then, of course, communication. I've always admired your communication skills.
Thank
And
you.
no, and synthesizer, I'm learning that's one of the most, based on my research so far, it's one of the more rare creative genius gifts for the trifecta. So it's just
Interesting.
brilliant that those three come together. So,
Yeah.
okay,
Well.
talk to me. But before Caleb hit record, we were talking about our different environments in our work environment, and you're in your home office this today. But I'm curious, when you think about your best creative thinking, where are you? What conditions or what environments help you do your best creative work?
Let's see. I don't like working alone. I get distracted easily, and I work best, I think, when I'm with people. But there is an important part of the ideas that I come up with that are done alone. Sometimes with a book, right? So it's reading that kind of gets those creative juices going. That's why, and again, these are things that I've just realized lately, that this is why I can't read nonfiction before bed, because it'll just
you'll
suddenly
just
get
go.
I'll just go, right? And I'll need to get up and write things down. So only fiction before bed.
Okay.
But yeah, reading nonfiction, regardless of the topic, will get me to think of ideas, usually to bring to work. So there is a bit that I do alone. I mean, obviously at EY, just, because of the way consulting works, we do a lot of that creative thinking, what I now call creative thinking, in groups and in teams. I find that if there are more than 3 people in the room, I get frustrated when, we get off track. And we're trying to put together a presentation or a pitch or some ideas to bring to the client. If there are too many people around the table and we get distracted and things start going all over the place, and that frustrates me. I do agree that there is a value to having a large number in the room, because you have all of these, out of the box ideas just flying in and things that you weren't expecting. But sometimes we get sidetracked and it's not very efficient. My personal experience is that I work best when I have a sparring partner. So it's one on, with another person, and we're just back and forth, or 3 people. I can also work in a group of 4. We also get a lot of things done. But yeah, that's my. I think this is probably varies from person to person, but this is how I work best in terms of producing creative content, right? Or innovation. Yeah.
Well, like you said, when you do creative thinking, or what you now consider creative thinking, what did you consider it before?
Work. So
the 4-letter word.
Yeah, we're just putting data together and coming up with solutions. So problem solving. I would have probably called it problem solving, but I would have never attached the adjective creative to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Because it's so obvious now. In hindsight, it's so obvious that it's creative, but I just never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I've given you the opportunity to reframe it and just run with it, because it's way more fun to do creative thinking than work. So if I had to choose between those two,
True.
I'd rather do some creative thinking or creative brainstorming. So, so you're in consulting. You're a partner at Ernst & Young at EY. Do you think that creativity plays a role in your industry that people from the outside might not expect? Like, I mean, you're in a highly regulated industry.
Well, I mean, EY does a lot of things, right? I mean,
right.
we obviously we're accountants. We audit companies. We have a very important tax division that advises clients on tax issues. We have consulting, and then we have the strategy and transactions bit, which is where I sit in EY-Parthenon. I mean, you would be surprised. how creative even accounting is, right? And not in the bad sense that I
Right.
mentioned earlier, but the accounting regulation, just like the tax regulation, is sometimes open to interpretation. And it's not because you're trying to find a loophole or you're trying to do something that is not legal. That's not it at all. It's just it's a sincere question. It's like, how am I supposed to understand this, and how does that impact this very specific case that there is no prior experience with, for example. So even the auditors sometimes have to be creative. In consulting and in strategy and transactions, there is a lot of creativity involved because of what I just mentioned, that it's problem solving. That's what we do for a living. And I've just now realized how much creativity comes into problem solving that cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. So that's kind of the bit that I'm calling creative, right? Because the bit that can be done by artificial intelligence is basically just compiling data and presenting it in a structured way. I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing creative about that, but that's not where the magic happens. The magic happens, what do you do? So what, right? What do you do with that information? What comes next?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's what you're describing is also what the research supports. We have this full, 70 years worth of creativity research. And now that we have AI, they're calling what AI produces pseudo creativity versus the human creativity. And, we even had to come up with a new definition of creativity because of AI, and so there's intentionality and authenticity and emotionality to creativity that AI simply doesn't have. And so, if we think about the definition of creativity as is the intentional process of producing novel and useful ideas that can lead to innovation, which is implementing those ideas. And I think so many of us get focused on innovation and we forget, oh, wait, no, creativity fuels innovation. You have to have creativity before you can just innovate, but don't get too creative. Okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
I have heard that so often.
Really?
Heard that so often.
Isn't that crazy? Get to the innovation, but don't get too creative about it. What that doesn't. It's like, okay, go win your basketball game, but don't score too many points. You got to have the points to win. You got to have creativity to innovate. But from your perspective, what do you think the hardest part of it is? The hardest part of turning creativity into innovation?
I think from my work experience, and again, I work in a very structured, I would say, industry. I think the problem is so innovation requires long-term thinking and long-term investment. Creativity is on the spot, so you come up with the idea over a relatively short period of time. It doesn't, I'm not saying you come up with it immediately, but in a relatively short period of time, you can come up with creative ideas. But implementing them requires investing money and time and capital and people over a long period of time before you actually see the results. And, companies are not always that patient with that. And the problem with that is that if you don't have the patience to see innovation through, that also undermines creativity, because you're like, well, why should we invest the time and create the space for creativity if it's not going to lead to anything that we can see the impact of tomorrow?
Wow.
It's going to be maybe a year from now or 10 years from now. So I think that's the problem, this impatience that my company or my industry. It's the companies that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
You do see that impatience. It's the quarterly results.
Yeah.
It takes really a leadership with a very long-term vision, and who have the permission to play long-term, to do that.
Wow. Wow. You know what? You're bringing up something that I had not considered. And so I think it's fascinating because, I look at the conditions and the environments that nurture or hinder creativity, and you're describing something that I haven't come across yet, that the leader or the organization not having the stick to itness, the fortitude to see it all the way through, and maybe have the resources or the patience, as you said, to see the innovation out, which will kill creativity. Why come up with ideas if we're not going to do anything with them, if those ideas
Yeah.
go somewhere to die? Can you think of any other ways that we kill creativity, maybe intentionally or unintentionally?
I mean, culture plays such an important role.
Mm-hmm.
You really need permission to fail,
Yeah.
and that is so rare to find
Mm-hmm.
an organization where you have true permission to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes, it's said very often, oh, yeah, we do give you permission to fail, but then in reality, there
Yeah.
isn't that much permission to fail. And
Mm-hmm.
companies that create a culture that really allows for that, I think, are so powerful, because you do really see innovation coming out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, it's linked with what I just mentioned earlier on innovation and organizations not having the patience to think long term to see those results. It takes a lot of courage to implement something new that you're going to see the impact of in, say, 3 years, and then
Mm-hmm.
the 3 years are, pass, and you realize you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
That it takes a lot of
Yikes.
courage to go
Mm-hmm.
into that, knowing that it might be a mistake at the end of the journey. So, uh, yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to
Mm-hmm.
have that true permission to fail in organizations, but organizational cultures who achieve that, I think, I mean, they're absolutely differential in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. And you're right, that's rare. Like to have a place, a culture where you can feel truly, have the psychological safety to
yeah,
fail and learn from your mistakes and then iterate and innovate from there. And you're right, those are the companies that move faster than everybody else
yeah.
because they have the permission to fail and they learn from it and they create amazing things from it. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's keep going because one of the things that I'm just wildly curious about, and you've talked a little bit about it, is just the cultural differences, the international, the linguistic differences between what I study in creativity and innovation. And just to get us started, you have a multicultural background, like I do. We were both third culture kids. We grew up internationally, but now you live in Spain. I live in the US. How has your cultural background shaped the way you think about or express creativity, if you think about it from that lens?
See, the problem, I think that the first problem I have with that question is I don't know how to identify myself culturally. Probably because of that international background you've mentioned. So
Right.
I'm
Like, who
I'm
are you?
probably not your stereotypical
No.
Spaniard.
Mm-mm.
Um, I mean,
You're a
there's a
citizen
lot
of
of
the
you.
world.
Yeah, there's a lot of European in me, I think, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, there's it's difficult. It's difficult to define that. But I do recognize that I'm not the stereotypical
Mm-hmm.
Spaniard in the way I act, the way the way I think, the way my brain is kind of structured. Um, but I'm sure there are differences in how different countries view creativity. But I wouldn't know how to pinpoint how that has influenced me.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a mishmash. So let me give you an example. So what I've observed in terms of cultural differences, I mean, we could speak for hours on cultural differences, right? Because I know that you're also passionate about that subject, but there is one aspect that I think influences creativity, and that is how hierarchical an organization is. Again, I mean, I haven't done the research you've done at all. This is just my personal observation. I do feel that the more the more hierarchical a company is, the less creativity there is. Probably because it goes hand in hand with less permission to fail. But this is just a hypothesis I'm throwing out there, and maybe your third PhD will be on that.
Oh, stop! No, we're done.
But it's so cultures. For example, if you go to the Nordics in Europe, they are a very flat society. They're not hierarchical at all. Or Australians, it's also very flat in terms of, we're all equal, and you could be the king of Sweden and they're still shoulder to shoulder to everyone else.
They even have a phrase for that, don't they, in Australia? Like the high poppy, like the high poppy gets cut.
Yeah. So I think non-hierarchical societies produce lesser hierarchical companies, which in turn boost creativity. And I think in Europe, which is, the market that I know the best, I think we're probably seeing more tech startups and so on in the Nordics than you would see, say, in the southern part of Europe, probably because they are less hierarchical than we are. So France, for example, is extremely hierarchical in there as a society, and as and you see that also in the corporate culture of French organizations. I hope I'm not getting in trouble with any of my clients by saying this, but it's just my personal observation. So I think that might influence their view on creativity.
No, and what you're saying is also supported by the research. And one of the things that we see is that when there's a lot of levels of bureaucracy and a lot of approval levels, that does hinder creativity, versus that when there's less red tape, it's easier to innovate and fail and move quickly. So you're spot on. But I had not applied that to countries.
It's getting a little dark, isn't it? Let me see if I can get some more light in here.
Oh, beautiful. There we go.
Now I'm all shiny. Right.
The sun is setting in Spain, and it's not even noon here in Texas. So, wow. Well, Cecilia, thank you for this conversation. But before I let you go, Percy, the penguin, my research assistant, has a handful of questions for you. He usually just has a couple of questions, but today Percy is very inquisitive. Percy, are you there? Come on in, Percy. All right, Percy, you're making our work for this one. Okay. Percy's first question is really interesting. You ready for this? Percy would like to know... Dadgum, Percy. Percy would like to know if you would please translate the term creative genius into every language that you speak.
Oh, wow.
So can you?
No, that's an easy one, actually.
It's easy? Okay, so tell us the language, and then how would you translate it?
No, it's easy.
Or reverse it.
I think it's, you say it the same in every language.
Really?
I think, yeah. I mean... the good thing that both creative and genius come from Latin, so I think that it's very similar in the languages that I know, at least.
Okay.
So I don't know. Should we start Spanish?
Okay, perfect.
Genio creativo. I mean, anybody can
Beautiful.
understand that.
Beautiful.
French, another language you and I
Okay.
have in common. Génie créatif would be
Beautiful.
probably the
Yeah.
translation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Paloma about that one. Do you remember Paloma?
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Of
Yeah.
course. German, kreatives Genie.
Oh.
And Polish would be well, I'm thinking about that.
It's called Bogushan.
I should call him. No, I have it on the tip of my. I mean, it's
That's
it's
right.
the
It's right
same
there.
too. It's the same.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come up with it. Probably
Okay.
later. It'll
Yeah.
pop back in.
In
Yeah.
1 minute, it'll come to you. It needs to incubate a little bit.
So
man.
yeah, it's very similar in every language.
Yeah,
And in Polish, it's the same too. I'm just
because of those Latin roots.
I can't turn the Polish on right now. It's Friday evening.
That's all right. You're totally excused from that.
It's like there's
But hey,
switches
you said it in
snapped.
4 languages. That's rather impressive. Okay, Percy's second question is, Percy wants to know, what's one way you're saying I'm in to creativity in your life right now?
Well, I've realized that I need to create a space for it. That my day-to-day kind of blocks it out. Just because I'm just jumping from meeting to meeting all day in a very reactive mood. So problem comes in, decision made next, and things are just thrown at me, and I feel, like a tennis player just responding.
Bing, bing, bing.
Exactly. And I think creativity needs space and time. So I'm trying to carve out at least 2 hours a week where I can read with a cup of tea, take notes on paper, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, just shut out all distractions, and just see what happens. And I am so surprised with the results. So, and also finding time for that sparring that I was telling you about, right?
Yeah.
So finding time where, with on one-on-one or in a small group of three or four people, we can actually all put our phones on Do Not Disturb for a couple of hours and just see what we come up with.
I love that.
And I had never, before I did the assessment, I had never thought of how important that is to my work. So I really need to proactively carve out the time for that. It's not, my Outlook calendar is always, it's all over the place, right? And Copilot now does this very annoying thing, which is for the following week, it blocks you focus time. And it's very annoying because I just deleted it. And now I'm saying, maybe I do need that bit of time. So
Yeah, we need that mind wandering time where your mind can just go places and your imagination can work. And I think you're right. If we don't have that, then we're just task to task to task without inviting that creativity into our lives. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, Percy's final question for you is, what's a question you would like to ask a future guest?
I think what creative thought has surprised you the most? So what have you come up with that you went, oh wow, I did not expect that to come out of my brain?
Love it.
That would be curious.
Wow. That's a good one. I love it. And this is how I connect, one guest to the next guest, and keep the continuity of the podcast and the guests.
That's a fun
getting to know
idea,
each other.
actually.
Well, I can't wait to ask the next guest, and she is actually she's American, but she lives in Vietnam, so that'll be an interesting, conversation for
Interesting.
for her.
Can't wait to watch that podcast.
Well, before I let you go, is there any last thoughts or ideas you have, or anything that you want to share?
Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me on the podcast, but thank you
Mm,
for
of
your
course.
research
Thanks
on
for saying
this.
I'm
I
in.
think it is so
Mm,
relevant. It is so
mm,
relevant to everybody, regardless of what they do. I think it's very insightful and mind blowing. I think some of the conclusions of your research are very, unexpected and especially I think very relevant in the time that we're
mm.
in at the moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
with creativity taking kind of, a backstage. No, that's not
Hmm.
the expression in English. See Friday afternoon, but
Backseat.
it's thank you. There we go.
You're
Backseat
close.
is the word I was looking. Almost taking a backseat to other things, and I think it's now is the time
Mm,
to really put it front and center of everything we do
hmm.
in our organizations.
Hmm.
So
Gosh,
thank you
thank
for
you.
that.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that. Like this is the work that has been on my heart. So I'm glad that you are helping me bring this into the world. So I'm so grateful for you. Yeah.
Right.
Where
It's always fun to talk to you. So
I know, like, are you kidding me? Like we get to do a podcast together. But where if one of our listeners wants to follow you, LinkedIn, like how would they get in
yeah,
contact with you?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. So yeah, happy
Okay.
to meet new people. There's the connector in me.
There you are. Fantastic.
So
Well, Cecilia, my friend, thank you so much for saying I'm in. Thank you for sharing your insights and your story and your wisdom with us. You connector, communicator, synthesizer, creative genius that you are.
thanks so much, Heather. All right.
And thank you for joining me in this conversation. If you haven't followed us yet, please hit that follow button and we will show up in your feed when we drop a new episode. And I would love it if you would leave a review. It helps more people find us and join the conversation. And if you want to discover your creative genius type, please go to my website, take the assessment. I will put a link in the episode notes along with Cecilia's LinkedIn. So until next time, keep saying I'm into creativity, bold thinking, transformational growth, and meaningful conversations. May you be wildly creative in your life and leadership. I'll see you soon.